You know, in the Bible, you know, in the Bible, it tell you about the number 666.
Yeah.
Yeah, it say let one who got the wisdom and knowledge calculate this number. The key word is calculate, and you will know the meaning of that shit. So look, I'm gonna tell y'all, y'all listening at home, y'all write this, y'all try this. Boom. Write down the alphabets. Get a sheet of paper. Write down the alphabets. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like going down on each line. Write the alphabet. And on for each letter, it'll be a number, a multiplication of 6. So A will be 6, B will be 12, C will be 18, D will be 24, you know, E will be 30, and so on, so on, so on, so on. So boom, once you got your alphabet, you got the numbers down. Now write the word computer. COMPUTER. Boom, you find the letter. You find the letter for C, which will be 18.
Right.
You find the letter for O, whatever that number is. You find the letter for M, whatever that number is.
It adds up to 66.
But you add every number from computer, and that bitch gonna be 666.
It is the mark of the,
Hey, make that a clip.
Come on now.
it is the mark of the beast.
Come on now.
But then again,
Come on now, computer. And remember how they are, like how they trying to advance technology to where like that chip in your arm, where if you ain't got the chip in your arm, you can't buy no food,
Right.
you can't clock in to work. And remember in the Bible, that's what it say. If you ain't got this mark, you ain't gonna be able to buy no food, no woo. Okay, you know in the
All right, shalom. As always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rukaha Kodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Lord willing, this one will be edifying it to the elect. And I had to laugh when I, saw this video, because the word computer is not the mark of the beast, man. And that's the problem with Jake. I will give him credit though. The last part of the video, it's always good to hear people being aware, of this devil. When he mentioned that, this devil is trying to, see hip people, and as the Bible says, you won't be able to buy or sell without it. He's completely right with that point. However, saying that the mark of the beast is the word computer is bugged out. That's just false, right? But he probably just came across some new information, and he said, I figure, look at this shit. Let me share this information. That's why the Bible speaks about reading many books. I get that precept. But why I brought up the barcode right here is because Esau embeds his number, because it's the number of the beast, right? 666. He embeds his number in every category of his wickedness. As the scripture said, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So he will put his stamp, his mark, his number in places that you won't see. For example, many people don't know, but this is not new information, right? When you look at the Google logo, right, it's 666 as well, amongst many other logos. So it's not, I'm not going to say how the Google logo is a mark of the beast. No. We're not going to say the Monster energy drink is a mark of the beast. Just a few examples. It's not really something that changes anything. It's just information. Like, look at this wicked devil. You see how he puts these things here subliminally, right? He likes to leave a lot of subliminal messages, right? Right. Look, because his whole model on makeup is evil. It's on the left hand side. It's wickedness. He is the wicked. So that's what he is. He's gonna do what he is, be what he is, right? And look at this. Look at this. I guess the woman eating the forbidden fruit, which it wasn't an actual fruit. It's referring to the knowledge, of evil, which Adam and Eve weren't created to know that. They were, God's the angels that fell from their first estate, but they weren't meant to know the knowledge of evil in those times. And that's what this refers to, and that's what Esau pushes. He pushes a lot of evil. He educates people, on evil things. That's his agenda, right? So let me get this one out the way. Ecclesiastes. Because pretty much what happened is this guy came across some information on YouTube, more than likely. That's why Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 12 says, "And further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end, and much study is weariness of the flesh." Be careful. That's what it's saying. Be careful of reading or making many books, as it says here, right? There's no edification there. If you're not working with the Spirit, you gotta you have to filter things through the scriptures. If the Lord is working with you. If the Lord is not working with you, you're cooked, right? So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 32, and it says, "And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets." Right? It means the spirits of the prophets belongs to the prophets. So if you were a prophet in your past life, you're gonna come back as a prophet every time, according to your measure in each time, right? You're gonna prophesy according to your measure given in each different reincarnation. And yes, reincarnation is biblical, right? So you can't make yourself a prophet. Just leave the teaching, the breaking down of the scriptures, of the biblical things to the men of the Lord, the true scholars, right? To submit to one's control, right? So the spirit of the prophets are given to the men that they belong to, man. Those spirits will always come back as the same people, different flesh, different names, but you're the same spirit. Your spirit is not shared, as some people might think. Spirits aren't new. There's no new spirits. There's no new thing under the sun, and that's referring to everything. So no, you can't make yourself a prophet. You can't make yourself a teacher of the Bible. That's something that the Lord has to the Lord has to call, to choose you from the get-go. And that's what the scripture says. I have chosen you, you haven't chosen me. So that's why he erred, because that's not his lot. His lot is not to teach. His lot is to learn. The scriptures speak about having a teacher that you may learn. Even the prophets have to learn by someone. That's how the Lord set things up. And the knowledge has increased over the years. So that's why jakes like him come across information like that, which the word computer, cool, whatever, it adds up to 666. Now what? Esau is the devil. The earth is given into his hands. That's his number. It's pretty simple. It's nothing deep, much deeper than that. He has 666 in many things, man. So let's get the true understanding what the mark is. Which it's good that he identifies the C hip, as being a part of that, which that's what the mark is. It has nothing to do with the word computer. No, so this is Revelation chapter 13. Let's start from 15. And it says, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast." And what's the image of the beast? This devil's philosophy, everything that he pushes, his doctrines, right? His religions, or his theories, Darwinism, Christianity in itself, Caesar Borgia, JC, the image of Caesar Borgia, his standards, right? That's his image. Everything that he stands for. AI is a part of his image as well. things such as that. All of his philosophies, that's his image, right? And it says that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, while worship his decrees, obey his decrees and his orders, follow his blueprint, listen to what he says is right and what's wrong. You will be killed if you don't if you don't comply. That's what it's saying right here. Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that's what he mentioned in the last part of the video. And that's referring to an RFID C-hip implant, that you will have to, take if you want to continue living in the society. If you want to eat food, conveniently, if you want to drink water, if you want to be able to pay your rent, go to the hospital, travel, and continue living your life in this wicked society. Or you can take the BCI version, which is it's the brain computer interface, Neuralink or Synchron. You can have a C-hip implanted in your head, and you can boogie that way. That's the options that this devil is gonna give you, and he's gonna make it seem very convenient and comfortable, and normal, right? And it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? Because within these devices, the number that that Jake was so infatuated by or amazed by is embedded in these devices, right? And when you go down to read here, it says, verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. And who would do this? Mainly the elect, the children of Israel. Anyone that the Lord wants to have this understanding. Having this understanding doesn't mean that you're going to be delivered or that you're not going to take it. It doesn't have anything to do with that, right? But it said, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding of the scriptures, man. Because some things in the scriptures are not as hard as people make it seem. The Lord just really has a certain spirit on them. The Lord really hates them. The Lord really, really judges certain individuals not to really receive this, because that's a judgment for your lot to not be able to receive these things, right? That's very scary. I would never want to be on the other side of that. Although we all once didn't know certain things, I always believed that the MOTB was the C-hip was the MOTB. I always believed that. And I just did. I didn't know. I just thought that's what it was. And it says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And this is what he doesn't know. When you go into the numbers, 666 is a Greek word, kai stigma.
Strong's G 5516. Chi, Xi, stigma.
Right.
Chi, Xi, stigma.
And when you go into the root word of stigma, right, it says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body, right? And the root word is to stick, example, prick, right? And it goes on to say, to ancient Oriental usage, Salakia, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander. And we are still in slavery, and we are the slaves of this beast, this devil Esau, the so-called white man. And this devil is going to attempt to prick everybody, He's going to create a world, through the power of Yahweh Hashem El Shai. Given the Lord, as it says in the scriptures, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So, and it also says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows, right? And that's what's coming. We're at the end. We're coming to the end. So when you look at those prophecies and those scriptures, it identifies Esau as being the devil because he's ruling now, right? He's the one that's ruling, and he's the one that's going to prick you, give you the option to choose. Do you want to live good and take care of your family and make sure that your daughter, your son, your 2-year-old child doesn't starve and your wife that you love so much doesn't suffer? Are you going to take the mark? It's similar to the video 19 thing that went around. People opted into taking it quickly because they didn't want to lose their job. They wanted to make sure they could pay rent and take care of their family and keep their girl in their life that they love so much, because she might leave me for a man that has the video 19, right? It's going to be the same dynamic. Men, women, children, grandmas, grandpas, all heathen are going to flock to taking this mark because they love they love the experience of they love ultimate conveniency, right? That's how they're going to package this thing. They love the concept of conveniency. All flesh does, but it comes to a point where you got to shut it off. You got to apply wisdom. You got to first and foremost pray and hope that the Lord is with you so you can deny these things, right? Because you have men bugging out right now, denouncing that they're Hebrews and blah, blah, blah. I'm not associated with that and all of that. The Lord can put any spirit on you. The Lord can put a spirit on you to take it so you can be judged. So you just got to pray that you're counted worthy to escape these things, because this is the hour of temptation. And many people are going to overlook these things because the Lord is not dealing with them, right? So let me finish reading it. It says, to ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name of the stamp of their masters or commander branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what matter or general they belonged to. And you people belong to Esau, right? And the elect belongs to Yahweh Hashem El Shai, but we're all in slavery. That's the thing. But who do you belong to? Do you belong to Yahweh Hashem El Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ? Do you belong to them, or do you belong to Esau? You're gonna be put in a position to choose, which your decision is already made for you. The Lord is gonna make that decision for you. So if you're cooked, you're cooked, and if you're saved, you're gonna be saved. You're gonna be beamed up into a chariot. There were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. And, you people worship Esau. Esau is really your god. You worship AI. You have, I don't even look at the videos, but you can find many videos of people giving that type of reverence to AI. You people worship tattoos, which that's really like in this society is a mark from Esau as well, because he pushes that vibration heavy. In Babylon the Great, you have tattoo shops every corner you turn, so that's a part of his image as well. Everything that's contrary to Yahweh Hashem El Shai, so I'll leave it there. The point was made. The MOTB, the mark of the beast, is not the word computer. It is a device that the so-called white man is going to give you to it's a device that the so-called white man is going to implement in the world in order to continue buying and selling. It's a small device the size of a rice grain that can be implanted anywhere in your body to swipe and go, to pay and go, to pull up all of your information, The word mark means charagma, and which charagma, is a mark pricked. And when you're going to, or, cut in, and then when you're going to the word karax, which is a root word of charagma, it talks about a pail, like a syringe, a surgical instrument that will be used to implement that device. And then when you're going to the root word of grapho, it's salakia of karax, it's grapho, which goes back to what this guy was speaking about, computers and information and storing things not to be forgotten. And that's what it is, right? So with that, all praises, honor, and glory goes out to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, for Kahak Shalom.